Joining us now for more analysis on the president's economic agenda, Julia Cartwright is an economist with the American Institute for Economic Research. Also with us, Brandon Arnold, the executive vice president of the National Taxpayers Union. Welcome. Let's get right to it. Here is President Trump speaking last night in Iowa.
Economic growth is exploding to numbers unheard of. They've never had them before in recent times, and now. And we're just getting started. You know, the great, big, beautiful bill, which is no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our seniors. Do we have any seniors in here?
Brandon, do you agree the administration is just getting started? And when should we expect to see the results of the tax cuts?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of great stuff in these tax bills. You look at the lower taxes for people that are working class Americans. The average American tax refund is going to be about $3,000, and tax season just started, so people should go ahead and file those returns right away so they can get that money in their pocket and put it to better use. And we're starting to see some benefits from the manufacturing-based incentives in that tax package, encouraging companies to invest in the United States economy, whether that's research and development or capital investment. So there's a lot of good there. Some of that was made retroactive to the start of 2025. Some of that is just kicking in. So I do think that's going to provide some degree of optimism and some consumer confidence heading into 2026 here that should improve the economic conditions and help get this stagnant job market really booming again.
You know, Julia, I never thought I'd live to see the day where I would observe Republicans embracing green initiatives. Well, it happened last night. President Trump said that he fully backs E15. What is E15? It's the promise to move America from only 10% ethanol to 15% ethanol. And you know what? The farmers in Iowa and all over the country love that idea. Why? Because that means more demand for corn that ethanol is produced from. So how do you see that playing into the economy where we see traditional capitalistic policies, pro-growth policies with a little bit of green initiatives to further boost it? What say you?
Great observation, John. I think the president is trying an all-hands-on-deck approach when it comes to energy. He's embracing nuclear. He's embracing small modular reactors. He's embracing some green energy, as you noted. But I don't think he's tying energy's hands as much to the green new scam, if you will, as he mentions, under the Biden administration. So I think he's taking a multi-pronged approach, which we've seen is benefiting the economy already. We see 4.4% growth, which is higher than the previous quarter of growth numbers at 3.8. So we do see the economy on a very robust clip, which is exciting. We see job growth higher than inflation now. Now, we do still have about 20% inflation from 2020, so we still want to bring those inflation numbers down because, of course, those prices are still increasing slightly. But as far as the energy component goes, that is really buoying what we see with growth numbers and something that is a great news for 2026.
Well, the phrase, "it's the economy, stupid," is often used in politics, and the president seems to be leaning into that message, saying this.
I mean, I'm here because I love Iowa, but I'm here because we're starting the campaign to win the midterms. We've got to win the midterms. But we inherited the highest prices in the history of our country, and we've rapidly brought them down, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah, Brandon, the president makes such a good point there in terms of what he inherited. What else would you like to hear from him with respect to the economy heading into the midterms?
Yeah, I do think the focus needs to be back on the economy. Obviously, we've had a lot of tragic events in Minnesota and a lot of concerning things taking place in this country. But I think that economic optimism out of this administration can be inspiring. Frankly, I'm not a huge fan of the tariff policy. I think rolling back the tariffs, and the Supreme Court may do that next month, could provide an enormous boost to manufacturing. You're looking at a company like John Deere, which has a huge presence in Iowa and adjacent states right there. They're laying off people and they are downsizing their operations there in the Midwest. We do see some positive news with some growth that could take place in North Carolina. But reducing this burden, $300 million hit in tariffs to John Deere in 2025, potential $600 million hit to them in 2026. It's just hard to get the hiring and get the expansion that a company needs when they have to pay those kinds of bills to the federal government.
You know, I'm sorry, Julie. I was just scrolling here. Why? Because I need to buy a new American car. Because that's what President Trump encouraged the American people to do. How so? Well, with this big, beautiful bill and the numerous tax cuts, one of which the American people, when they buy an American car, guess what happens? When they use financing, 100% of the interest expense could actually be a tax credit. Wow, I got so excited. Why? Because there are so many things in a big, beautiful bill. You know what? That's one I forgot to take advantage of. Do you think the American people will take advantage of that tax break, boosting the demand for American-made vehicles?
I think they will. And any type of incentive is going to change behavior, absolutely. So I think Americans can look forward to that. There also has been floated, I believe, an 84-month car loan, which is a little bit puzzling. But I think what the most important thing that Trump said tonight, as far as really shoring the economy up for the upcoming year, is the fact that he wants to deregulate. And he talked about institutional red tape that he and his administration are working on taking down. And more so than these sort of one-off incentives here and there, that is really going to put a lot of certainty into businesses. And as the other guest mentioned, really bringing a lot of confidence into the manufacturing base. I think that's essential for 2026.
Thanks so much, Julia and Brandon. We appreciate your commentary.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you.